Okay. Oh.
Hi, good evening. So I am coming through in a different format tonight. Hopefully everything is working. So I'm just checking it out. I can see us there, Rob, but I don't know if it is coming through. Hopefully it is. How do I know? I'm using a different device and oh, I've got something there. I think it's working, Rob. So I'm going to go for it. I'm going to start again. Hi, good evening, and welcome to Talk Tuesday with Vanessa. And if you've been following this series, you will know that I have been speaking to some amazing guests. Absolutely amazing. I'm feeling slightly paranoid. Let me just test this out, just because I'm doing something new tonight. Hi. Absolutely amazing. I'm feeling slightly paranoid. Let me just test this out. It's working. It's working, Rob. Any of you who know me well, yeah, I can use technology, but somehow when I seem to go live and things like that, it always messes up. So it is working. So good evening for the third time. It's the third time looking. Welcome to Talk Tuesday with Vanessa. I'm Vanessa, lifestyle coach for mums, and I'm educating mums of all ages. What do I talk about? Well, I talk about resilience. So this is building resilience in your mental well-being, your physical well-being, your emotional well-being, and I talk about spiritual things. I'm not talking about spiritual things tonight because, do you know what? An area of resilience that is not my specialism, but I feel particular in these times that we all need to build our knowledge, our education, and build our resilience is in financial education. As you can see, I have a fantastic man on the call with me. His name is Robert Harris. He is a financial educator. He calls himself your financial friend. Robert, thank you so much for being here on the live with me this evening. How are you?
I'm wonderful, thank you, Vanessa. I normally am. I hope you are too. Yes, brilliant. Yeah, good to be here.
Yes, I am feeling wonderful, Rob. What I must say is a couple of things. The first thing is, congratulations, you are actually the first man that I have had as part of my health and well-being cafe after running it.
Oh, that's quite something, isn't it? Yeah. That's quite something. Absolutely right. Yeah.
That is something. I wanted to save that for you, Rob. I wasn't going to tell you until we were having this chat.
Oh, I see. The first man. My goodness me. Right. I better behave myself then, hadn't I?
Oh, well, it's such an honor and pleasure to have you with us, Rob. So yes, I've been doing the Health and Wellbeing Cafe since 2018. It started as a live event and then I took it online during the situation that we all lived through. But you know what, Rob, what's happening at the end of this month, I'm just so excited about. You know, you're here as the first man on Talk Tuesday, part of the Health and Wellbeing Cafe, because of the event that's happening.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, future-proof your family. That is the title. I'm going to ask you a few questions shortly so we can get to know who you are. But the idea behind the event was obviously from a health and well-being perspective, because as you know, that's my specialism.
Yeah.
But I've brought in you and also another man called Gary, who will be talking to us about how we can look after our, how we can protect our money and legacy. But you are here and part of the speaker lineup, as we call it, the guest contributors, to talk to us about how we can be looking after our money. I'm so excited about that, Rob.
Okay, that's good. That's good. I'm really glad to be here. Do you want me to tell you a bit more about what I'm going to be
Well, so
saying?
I think we should save
What
that
would you
for
like?
later. What I
Right.
want to
Okay.
do first of all, Rob, is
Uh,
obviously you have worked with me as a one-to-one, so I've actually sampled your style and the support that you offer. You know,
mm,
I think you're incredible. But what I want to do for the sake of the audience is just give them a little bit of background knowledge, because obviously you and I have met through
yeah.
networking, so you've had opportunities to
Mm,
introduce yourself to me on several occasions, and then that's when we had a private conversation. But
mm.
just tell the audience for me, Rob. We know your name's Rob Harris, we can see that, but who is Rob? You know, what is your background?
Well, okay. How long have you got? There you go. No, I mean, I think like the majority of people, I was actually born, you know, but I was born in the Second World War. I know I don't look like it, but it is true.
Wow, okay, I didn't
And,
know that.
no, exactly. And when I was born, I popped out of the womb less than 2 pounds in weight.
So
Now,
you are a miracle.
I am a miracle myself, absolutely so. And in fact, so much so that they thought I was a goner, and they put me on the rubbish heap to go down with all the needles and whatnot into the. And a nurse walked in apparently, and disagreed with them and grabbed my body from all the rubbish, because in 1943 they didn't bother to preserve you if you're just under 2 pounds in weight. You see, okay, so then here I am, and all because the nurse walked into the room at the right moment of time and disagreed with their diagnosis that I was dead and grabbed me, and here I am today.
That
So
is absolutely incredible,
I
Rob. Obviously
know.
I never knew that, but you know,
You didn't know
this
that? No, no,
this
quite.
week, this
Mm,
week, as you know, in our private chat that we've been
mm,
having in
yeah,
the contributors
yeah.
group, we're talking to the audience this week about the miracle of family, and what
Yes,
beautiful story you've just shared with us.
I know exactly. It's amazing, isn't it? Really,
Wow.
it
So
is
where are
amazing.
you? Well, let
Mm.
me just find out, where are you in the world then? Where do you
Oh, I
reside?
see. I'm in a very pretty little village called Clophill. I love being here. It's a great blessing to be here. It's a village with a village green, would you believe? And
Wow.
just one little village shop and loads of trees. It's so lovely. It really is lovely. It's midway between Bedford and Luton, if that helps
Okay.
you to pin
And
it down.
is that where you were actually born?
Oh, no, 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 no. I was born in Harrow Hospital, which actually was a tiny little hospital on Harrow on the Hill.
Okay.
If you went there, the old church is stood up, poised on the top of the hill, and
Brilliant.
the hospital opposite the local kind of school. And so, yeah, yeah. So,
Okay. So
yeah,
we're
yeah,
gonna
go on.
fast forward a little bit then, because obviously I've
Yeah,
met
quite a
you
lot, I should think. Yeah,
when you
yeah.
when you describe yourself as being in retirement. But would you like to give us some information, some background of what you were doing when you
Sure,
were in your work, you know, in your
of course.
working years? You're still working, but when you're in your working years.
Yeah, I did. Just to say, I'm not really retired. I could be, and maybe one day I will be, but I just love working still. But I wouldn't be here with you, Vanessa, would I, if I wasn't?
Exactly.
So, and it keeps my mind active, and I really enjoy what I do. So let me just explain that a little bit. I was, of course, a fully qualified, independent financial advisor, and for most of that time, it was almost half a century, for 50 years. So I came to the point where I sold the IFA practice that I had and had enough money to retire and all the rest of it. But actually, my clients wouldn't let me go. They carried on knocking on my door. I said, "Look, guys, I can't. I'm not regular. I can't help you anymore." But they kept asking questions. So I suddenly realised it was quite legitimate for me to give guidance and information. And I began to do that with those people that kept asking me questions. And I began to show them how they could make investment decisions for themselves and for their families, of course, as well. And they really liked that, because what they discovered was that they were in control of their money, and they were in control of what they did with their money. So that doesn't mean to say you shouldn't use a financial advisor, perhaps, but even if you do, you need to really understand what he or she is doing with your money. So it's about putting you back in control of where your money is and what it's actually doing. Does that help a little bit?
It does help a little bit. And something that came out to me, and I've put this in the blurb about financial education. Okay.
Mhm.
And when you use words like financial advisor, yes, there may be people, mums, dads watching this who are like, yes, I have a financial advisor. But then I kind of feel like I haven't got a financial advisor. And like there's quite a few mums that I know personally who don't have a financial advisor. Are you accessible to those of us who've never had that type of support?
Vanessa, that's probably the most important question that I can answer for you, actually, to be entirely serious. What's happened in the world of finance and advice is that the cost of financial advice is crippling for the average family or as the average person. If you ask a financial advisor, if I were to pay you an hourly rate for what you're going to do for me, what would the hourly rate be? And I would say with some confidence, probably a baseline of £180 an hour, rising to £250 an hour.
Gosh.
So what that has actually produced is what we call the advice gap. Now, the advice gap is where an awful lot of people, mums and dads and families, fall into it. And they don't even know that they're there because, frankly, if you're somebody who can only begin to save just a monthly sum into proper investments, an advisor isn't there really to help you because he can't make any money out of that. And he will be quite wrong almost to try to help you, I think, because he can't look after you if you aren't paying him. And if you've got £10,000, £5,000, or you've got £20,000 or £30,000 in a pension fund, even, the advisor cannot afford to look after you. And I'll tell you why, simply. A financial advisor, quite rightly, lives on his residual income, we might call it, which means that, let's just suppose you've got £10,000 and you get advice as to how to invest it, and he invests it for you. Well, normally the residual income will be 0.5% of the amount of money that the advisor is looking after for you. Well, 0.5% on £10,000 is almost nothing. And it wouldn't even cover 1 hour's fee. So that means that the majority of people may be in your health and wellbeing club, unless they've got £80,000. An advisor should not, in my view, really be interested in them from a commercial point of view. You might want to help from a friendly point of view, but because simply, you're not buying enough of his hours every year. So I really am here for the people who, have a little degree of money, some degree of money, amount of money in their pensions or whatever. They don't really understand where the money is or what it is. Or like some people, Vanessa, they've got pension funds out there and they don't know where the paperwork is. And no names, no pack.
No names.
No names, nothing like that, Vanessa, whatsoever. But you see, but I will tell you a quick story on just that very front. I was a group leader of a business networking group, and I won't tell you where because it involves a person. And there was a lovely accountant, a lovely lady accountant in the group. And it took me, 2 years to persuade her to dig out her pension papers. And after about 2 years, when I entered the room, she ran across the room, almost flung her arms around me and jumped up and down, Rob, I've got £250,000 in my pension. Wow. Vanessa, this is an accountant.
Gosh.
I have to tell you, that's not unusual.
But actually, just on that, isn't it the same type of thing that says a builder never finishes their own house?
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. So
yes.
But Rob, what I want to say, because I've used this word financial education. I've noticed that's part of your, it's in your description when I've had a look at your website. And I'm not promoting this book because I'm not like, well, I want people to buy it, but I'm not going to get any commission out of it. But I started here with Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So for any of my viewers who are not yet read this book, to me, as he describes in his book, and his name's Robert as well. I don't know if there's a
Well,
theme
there you
going
are.
on
I mean,
here.
that's it, isn't it?
If you had a book, Rob, I would have been promoting your book. But
I'm
what I'm
sure.
saying is,
Sure,
in
yeah.
this book, Robert Kiyosaki really does explain that for most of us, we did not get financial education at school. We didn't
Right.
get the
That's right.
basics.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
as you've just described, Rob, there's this
Mhm.
gap in our knowledge. And yes, as you said, if you've got a certain amount of income coming in, or you were born into a family with a certain amount of income, that knowledge may have been passed down to you. So when
Yes.
you become an adult, you may already have acquired that information and know what you should be doing. But for many of us who've had quite average upbringings and so forth, or even for myself, for those of you who know my story, I came from, there was lots of complications in my story, but we missed out on some information here.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's absolutely incredible.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
feel that you've described the why as well, in what you were just saying. You've got a passion for supporting people. And my question was, is it how accessible are you? So did you just want to tell us about what you
Yeah.
do and how
Yeah.
you are
Yeah.
working
Yeah.
with ordinary people now, please?
Yeah. Absolutely sure. Basically, I will help anybody people who have got no money at all and who want to start investing or saving their money monthly. So you don't have to have acres of money to talk to me whatsoever. On the other hand, I do have students of my money awareness course who continue to work with me, of course, with over £350,000. It really doesn't matter how much or how little you have. I'm totally accessible. I do this, Vanessa, because I enjoy it, not because I want to do it, actually. It thrills me to bits, So one little story to tell you quickly on that front is a lovely young lady who came to a small group financial awareness course to learn how to invest monthly. And she'd never done it before. At the end of the course, she said, Rob, I could manage to say, I'm living at home with my parents still, so I could put £100 a month away. Right, okay. So we had a little one-to-one session to help her to understand how she did that. And she was thrilled to bits because she was earning just the basic wage of about £8 an hour. And suddenly she discovered that she'd made £220 profit out of her regular monthly savings. And she didn't have to work for that. The money worked for her.
Yeah.
Now, how many hours would she have to work to earn £220 after tax?
Yeah.
Quite a few hours.
Quite a few.
And then she said something really interesting to me, you see. She said, she said, mind you, she said, my mum and dad would never, ever do this sort of thing, what I've done. And then the funny thing was this. She went and talked to a lot of her friends of her kind of age group. And she would say, look, I've done this. I've made £220. And they would not believe her.
Wow.
They just said, no, you just got it wrong. She hadn't got it wrong. She got it dead right. You see? So coming on to the money awareness course, that provides 4 sessions for you of up to 1.5 to 2 hours each. Okay. And during that session, you learn about the basics of investment, what the textbook tells you to do. But then we have a look at today's world, all the issues that face us, rocketing inflation and energy, all the things we all know about that we're all very worried about, really.
Yeah.
And we have to say to ourselves, well, hang on, what kind of investments will still grow in value against the kind of economic background, Liz Truss and all the rest of it, that's growing around us? And here's an important thing for people to understand. Often advisors will talk to you and work out whether you're a high-risk investor or a low-risk investor. And because Rob, after 50 years of intuition, knowledge, money awareness, I say that's rubbish. I shouldn't say that, should I? But I do say it. Because listen very carefully, please. The risk of any investment does not depend on what the textbook tells you. It depends upon the economic circumstances and the political circumstances around you. So this is one of the golden points of the course then. is that you go above just the basic learning level to understanding today's world and how to invest your money in today's world. And it is very effective. Okay.
And today's world is changing all the time, Rob.
Rapidly.
So, I mean, what we're talking about fundamentally, again, I think, well, hopefully, the clue is in the title of the event. It's called How to Future-Proof Your Family. I'm speaking to families, but of course, if you're listening to this and you know you've got different circumstances and you just want to come along to hear the information, then Rob, everyone's welcome. Yeah, we know that everyone's welcome. We have got a theme to the event. So because we are speaking to families, we've actually got the word mum in the title. Rob, please tell us the title of your talk at the event.
Yes, it's Mum, I Want a Money Tree.
I want a money tree. Oh my gosh. And of course, as we know, you know, the little ones and even the big ones, I've got my daughter who's 28 and my son who's 25. They actually feel that I've got a money tree in that back garden somewhere. So it doesn't leave them the older they get. But can you just give us a little flavour of what we'll be expecting to hear from you? On you're speaking on Thursday the 29th of September. Yes. What will you be telling us?
Okay, well, I mean, the focus obviously is mainly on families, isn't it, really? And if you talk about a money tree, well, a tree produces fruit, doesn't it? So you want the right kind of fruit in your hands at the right time in your life, don't you?
Right.
And so if you look at all that kind of situation, you recognize, for example, that you know, when a child or children come along, there are initial expenses and so on. And maybe you might be lucky, you might have granddad or grandmum or an aunt or two that chips in and helps you set up the kind of creche and so on. But you also know that as your child or children grows up, there'll be things like school trips to France or somewhere, and you've suddenly got to find a little chunk of money from somewhere, haven't you? All right. So one of the things here that's a bit more difficult to say, but I know especially today's world, is ideally we need to try to live within our financial means. So my mother and father, you know, at the age they were, they never borrow money. They would save up, and then they would buy what they needed, rather than necessarily what they felt they wanted emotionally. So some self-discipline's needed. I mean, some of the people I've helped to get saving have been mums, just simply single mums. There were 3 single mums in network group who came, Rob, there's no good talking to me, I haven't got any money. And I spoke with them, said, well, come on, you know, how many Costa coffees do you have? You know, why do you get that sandwich on the train? Why don't you take a sandwich with you? And so little steps like that can create a little extra bit of money every month. And then you don't go and you invest it. Now, when I say invested, I mean some of my students investing, you know, £50 a month, that they've had a return of about 24% on their money over just under 2 years. So you see, just relatively small amounts of money can grow and can be actually meaningful, and you can discipline and control your outflow enough to be able to do that. Okay, so you know, so when the school trip comes, if you've been saving £50 a month, not just in the bank, for goodness sake.
I was just thinking that, because savings, how much are you getting? Is it 1%?
I saw an offer of 3% today, but under special term, so it's increasing. But that's such an important point, Vanessa, isn't it? Because inflation is 10%.
Exactly.
So just think about it a little bit, won't you? Because if you're getting 3%, whoa, that's great, and it's not great at all. Because when you take the money out of your bank in a year's time, you'll only be able to buy £70 worth of goods for every £100. That's the idea anyway. Got the figures wrong there, I think, but we get.
No, I follow what you meant.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. So if you put your money in the bank, you are guaranteeing yourself a loss.
Yes.
Oh yeah, put £100 in, get £100 out, but it will only buy Well, it might be £90 worth of goods in the shops, or
Yeah.
whatever figures at the time. We just and inflation looks like it's roaring into 15%. Quite honestly,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay,
So,
well, do you know what, Rob? That
mm,
is just incredible information. Even what you've shared with us tonight, if people listen to what you said and just go away and start to build up your financial knowledge, it's so important in these economic times. Okay, but there's different ways that you can do this. Listening to people like Rob, reading books, listening to podcasts where they're talking about money, looking at different ways that you can get an extra income stream coming into your home. And like what
yes,
Rob would say, what would you do with that extra money? Put that money to work and
yeah,
let that money grow for you. So Rob, I'm absolutely delighted to not just have you as part of the event that we're doing, but to have connected with you. I actually met you at a networking event, which was
that's
all
right.
about money, you know.
Yes,
So in that
yes,
community, there's so many knowledgeable people like yourself who gather there, and you're sharing your knowledge on
mm,
financial education. So I really appreciate it. And
you're
yeah, I really look forward to hearing the full version of your talk. I will be taking notes. Rob knows I'm coming on to his money course. It's just clashing. The time he's got available isn't a time that's working for me at the moment. But once we get that right, Rob, I will be so excited. And you've invited Mark to join us as well.
absolutely, yeah.
You know, which
Mm,
is really important for anybody listening to this message. And you are a family. Rob is working with families. So
yeah.
his course at the moment, it's in a group format,
Mm,
and you can actually therefore, you know, learn from others. Because as you know, Rob, I do a lot of things in groups myself,
yes,
because I
yes,
find that it's okay for us to be passing on the information as the educators or the facilitator, but also when you're working in a group, you're learning from other people's
yeah,
experiences, and that
yeah.
can be really powerful,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
particularly if you're maybe holding back on some areas as well. So is there anything that you wanted to leave us with, Rob, before we see you again on Thursday, the 29th of September?
Well, a little bit of a deeper thing, if that's all right. Okay. You know, guys and girls and people, we are facing massive issues in the world today, aren't we?
Mm,
And basically, you know, money um, gives you freedom of choice in your life. It gives you can make a choice if you've got money, and you can't make a choice if you haven't got money. But the other thing I want to say is this too: the inequality there is in the world around us between rich and poor. So, you know, I'm also interested in saying to people, look, you know, let's make you wealthier, let's make you richer, so that you can provide security for your own family, and you can bless many other families with the overspill of your money.
yeah.
So, because a right attitude, a right heart attitude to money is really important. Don't let money control your emotions. Don't let it control your heart. Let your heart and your mind and your love and your care for people, let that control how you cope with your money and your funds. Oh, that's okay, Vanessa.
That was a wonderful message to leave us with, Rob. Oh, wow. I cannot wait to hear the full version of your talk. Like I
Okay.
said, I'll be taking notes. And for any of you who are not yet registered to this event, the registration link is available. Now, if you want to come, leave us a comment underneath wherever you will be seeing this. So it's streaming in now on Facebook, but as you know, I share my content on different platforms. Please leave a comment wherever you are viewing, or if it's a social platform whereby you can send me a message, or if you want to send me an email, my email address is connect@vanessa-mary.com. Please get yourself registered to the event. There is no charge. I have gathered 7 wonderful men and women who will be imparting valuable information that will have a positive impact on your life. There's no charge for you to attend. All you need to do is invest a little bit of your time, but the information that you will hear from the guest speakers like I said, you can take that information and actually design the life that is going to truly benefit you and your family. So Rob, thank you so much for sharing. You've shared so much wisdom with us tonight on this call. So I know what you're going to tell us in a fuller talk will be absolutely outstanding and incredible. So thank you so much for being here tonight. I also want to let you know that next week, we're still on that theme of money. We're building it up, but this is about abundance. So Rob is really telling you how you can make your money grow. The woman that I was speaking with next week, her name is Roberta Masata. I hope I've said her name properly because I haven't got it in front of me, but I will spell it out. She'll probably listen to this and tell me off. But her name is Roberta. And she has written a fantastic book all about abundance. Okay, so again, it's a mindset thing. What Rob's just shared with us this evening about how you can make, he said, people who had no money, he can help. If you've got £50, if you've got £100, but that's about your mindset. So Roberta will be with us. Roberta will be with us next week, and she will be telling us how she actually had a wonderful adventure by actually tuning into her mindset and also listening to her intuition and working on her faith as well, Rob. It's a very interesting story. At the event, she will be sharing more information again with you so you can take those principles, put them into your life, and you have the ability to do great things with your life. But we do need a little bit of support. As I said, for me personally, I turned to books when I first started out. I turned to online mentors. And as I'm expanding with what I'm doing, I'm meeting fantastic people like Rob and the other contributors and learning so much. And we really want to pass on this information to you and hopefully make a difference to your life. So thank you so much again, Rob, for being here. Thank you for everyone who's tuned in. Whether I can't see anybody on the live because the way how this screen's showing, if you are here with me live and you're leaving me comments, apologies, I cannot see them, but I will reply to the comments. And if you're watching the replay, don't forget to put #replay underneath the comments so that I can see you were there. And also, if you have any questions, please do send them through. You can find Rob on LinkedIn. So if you're watching the video via LinkedIn, leave Rob a question there and he will get back to you. All right then, Rob, thank you very much. Have a good evening. All right, thank you.